Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Dr. Yogita Gupta. We have the distinct pleasure to introduce our guest, Mr. Jeetendra Sharma, a globally accomplished product marketing and management professional with over 32 years of experience across 16 countries. Holding double master degrees and boosting rich experience in international business, including nearly 12 years as a regional category manager at Kimberly Clark Professional, our speaker now advise businesses and train professionals. He is also visiting faculty member and actively involved with Rotary International, especially in youth mentorship. Sorry. Now I request Sir to take over the session. Over to you, Sir.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon to all of you, and thanks for having me here again. Before we start the session, let me just try to share my screen, and if somebody can just confirm once you're able to see the screen. I believe it should have come up by now.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Excellent. Great. So once again, good afternoon and welcome to all of you. I can see from the participants that we do have a good list of people who are possibly, faculty members, because this will be very much relevant to you. Because today we are not just talking about innovation and entrepreneurship in theory, but about how you can take it to the grassroots, that is, into schools and communities where the seeds of future entrepreneurs are just waiting to be planted. In fact, if you could just imagine that you being the person who maybe sparked the next Ritesh Agarwal, or maybe helped a village student to build a water saving innovation. So today's session is going to cover this whole section about how we can have outreach programs in schools and the community, basically for boosting innovation and entrepreneurship. Okay, so let's get started. Now, I'm not sure if you'll have heard of this particular story. At the age of just 14, this girl, Remia Jose, created her first invention, a pedal powered washing machine made from recycled bike parts that can make laundry easier for families without electricity. Ramya Jose is from the Khizatur Panchayat in India, and she came up with the idea when she and her twin sister were given the task to do family's household chores after their mother fell ill. Now, instead of washing clothes by hand in the river, as everyone used to do, Jose invented her own solution that saves time and effort. She began by studying electric washing machines and learning how they work so that she could replicate the functionality in an entirely human powered machine. Her father helped her find the parts she needed for her design, and then she took her sketch to the neighborhood auto shop where the workers there helped her to construct this machine. And in fact, the machine worked even better than what she had planned. The machine consists of an aluminum cabin with a wire cylinder inside which holds the laundry. The cylinder is connected to a bike chain and a pedal system. Laundry is placed inside the machine along with hot water and detergent and then left to soak for around 10 minutes. Then the user pedals to spin the laundry and clean it. A small faucet on the cabin drains the soapy water, and then the whole machine is refilled with clean water for the final rinse cycle. All in all, it is an elegant yet simple solution for families living in rural areas who might otherwise be without a washing machine. Remia Joseph's invention didn't go unnoticed. In fact, she was presented with the National Award from former Indian President Abdul Kalam, and at age 18, she applied for a patent on her device. Now that she's in her late 20s, she works as a serial innovator at the National Foundation in India, creating new inventions to help rural communities in India. So, this was the story of Remia Jose, and this story shows how innovation can come from actually anywhere and how outreach can empower such talent. Now, I want y'all to take some time and just think back. When you were in school, was there any program or event that actually encouraged you to think creatively or to solve problems? So take a minute to think. And if yes, something comes to mind, I would love if somebody could just share if anything which you saw or did in school which actually helped you to think more creatively or to solve problems. So anybody willing to share, please feel free to do so. Yes, anyone, any could one could think of anything which in your school or you have seen any schools doing any programs to help boost creativity or problem solving. Okay, so nobody, anything comes to your mind? Okay, fine. So let me ask you another question. Say if you had the chance to launch a fun innovation project when you were, say, at the age of 10, what could have been your fun innovation project at the age of 10 or 12? And anybody wants to share what could have been their fun idea when they were a child? I'm sure all of us would have had ideas which possibly we were not able to put it into reality. But if you could think back, what ideas did you ever get as a kid? Yes, anyone? Any thoughts? Okay, fine, no problem. Even if you get some afterthoughts, just raise your hand, just let me know, and we can take your inputs. So, anyway, moving forward, if we try to map this innovation gap between rural and urban, so we all know that there are gaps in if you go to schools in the rural area, government schools, or if you see in the urban schools. Okay, what do you think are the major gaps? What could you see from an innovation, creativity perspective in rural schools? And what are their constraints or challenges? And what are there in urban schools which supports innovation and problem solving or entrepreneurship? Yeah, any thoughts either for rural schools or for urban schools, which demonstrates the gap which still exists between rural and urban? Yes, anyone, any thoughts? There's any one point which you find which is there in rural schools, or something missing from rural schools which you see today urban schools have that things, something which they do to boost innovation, entrepreneurship, creativity, anything which you would have seen in urban schools which is missing in rural schools, which is actually creating this innovation gap. There's any thoughts? Yeah, because that will help to keep it more interactive. Otherwise, it'll just be a monologue and maybe we'll finish the session in 15 minutes. Yeah, so anyone, any thoughts or anything you have seen? I'm sure you all would have visited at least the urban schools, if not the rural schools. So, what do you see urban schools doing to boost innovation, creativity? Something which you've seen your own kids or anybody else? Any couple of initiatives or programs which you would like to call out? Yes, any thoughts? Anyone? Any one thing which enables urban schools to do more of innovation and entrepreneurial thinking as compared to the rural or the government schools? Yeah, maybe I'll just give you some more time to think and respond. Yes, any thoughts? Anyone? Okay, not yet. Fine. So let's look at a couple of pointers which at least I had and I've tried to put it. And if you'll agree, well and good. If anybody has any other points, please add to that. So if you look at the rural or the government school, they face more of the challenges. And the challenges which they face, one is limited infrastructure. Then there is the emphasis is more on the traditional rote learning. You all understand what is rote learning? Anybody wants to just help everybody understand the meaning of rote learning? Yes, anyone? Any of the faculty members? Okay. And if somebody has challenges in unmuting, you can always even put on chat. Yes, anybody? So the meaning of rote learning, because we say that typically the focus of rural schools is there. Yeah, anyone?
Repetition learning, sir.
That is correct, Imanshu. So it is more of, the focus is on memorizing. Okay. Yeah. So Parul is talking about protocol in chat. So it's more of, rote learning is वही वो रट्टा मारना से बोलते हैं ना. So the more focus in the rural schools is still majority on ratta marna. So just memorize. So that is what we call about, and that is a traditional way of learning. Many of us have grown up with that way of learning, which is changing. And this is not very good for promoting innovation or entrepreneurship. No innovation culture or mentoring is there. Risk taking is often discouraged, right? In fact, because if you take risks, the chances of failure are there, and nobody likes failures. So this is currently the situation in most of the rural or the government schools. If you look at urban and private schools, at least it is better off, and that is where we say that there is an innovation gap. So here, many of the schools have access to STEM labs, coding, they have clubs to support all of this. There is exposure to design thinking and entrepreneurship. And this happens because they have the capacity and the ability to get external speakers, conduct events like hackathons, fairs to promote this, and overall, from a culture perspective, innovation is encouraged. And hence, we find a big gap when it comes to the rural or the government schools and when it comes to the urban or private schools in terms of innovation. Okay, so anybody wants to add anything to this, whether you agree, disagree, or any points which I have missed? Anything from an innovation entrepreneurship perspective which you have seen or you feel? Okay, no thoughts so far? Fine. Okay, so anybody here who can recognize who this is? I have already given a hint as a backdrop of this photo. Yes, anyone? Who's this person? Take a guess. No one? No guesses also?
So I think that is a very page.
Correct. So this is Larry Page, who's the co-founder of Google. And as I told you, the hint is there in the background. And Google's co-founder Larry Page said he got his first exposure to computing in Montessori school at the age of 6. And his curiosity, therefore, was nurtured early. And studies, okay, just checking the chat. Okay, studies show that students exposed to entrepreneurial thinking early in their lives are 4 times more likely to become entrepreneurs and significantly more likely to become problem solvers. Now, such research and examples to show why entrepreneurship and innovation must start at a young age. Again, let me put up a question to you and feel free to respond. Just go back in time and think, at what age did you start thinking creatively or solving problems on your own? And anybody wants to share? What age did you really start what you think you started thinking creatively and started really solving problems on your own? Anybody? What age? If you all can recollect. Okay, something in chat. Okay, so Parul says at the age of 13. That's good. That's early from the general average thing. Okay. Anybody else? And just thanks for sharing that, Parul. Just to push. And do you recollect? I mean, what was it that you started thinking creatively or any problem solving which you did at the age of 13? And if you can't unmute, you can also put in chat just to get more insights. And while that, by the time she puts in chat, anybody else wants to share? What age did you start thinking creatively or solving problems on your own? Yes. Yogita, are you trying to say something?
I think from the age of 10 to 11 years, because problem solving start when I think school onwards only, from class first only, because today routine also we have to
Correct.
tackle with so many problems as a child also.
Yes, you are right. But only think at that age, we definitely, all solve problem, math problem basically in
Yeah,
class. But
yeah.
when
We problems of our daily routine also, like as a kid also, with certain problems.
Okay, now just think back. Those problems were we solving on our own or
Yeah,
with some help?
yeah. At that time, certainly with our help of
Correct.
our parents or teachers, we need support of all those.
That's right. So definitely, if you see, in today's the way we get educated, we are brought up, we actually become capable to solve problems on our own a bit later in life. Okay, and possibly the reason why this whole entrepreneurship innovation culture starts very late for us. Yes. Anybody else? I thought somebody wanted to say something. No. Okay. Okay. Good. So let us also look at another topic related to this is the barriers that schools and community face today. Again, let me open it up. What do you think are today's barriers in having this innovative and entrepreneurial thinking at a young age? So, anybody wants to share what could be a couple of barriers which schools and communities are generally facing?
I think, sir, awareness, limited resources,
Yes, good. Yogita, limited
lack of
resources. What
yeah,
else?
lack of infrastructure also.
Correct. We
Yes,
saw
sir.
earlier.
Inadequate infrastructures.
Yes, Himanshu, inadequate infrastructure. Anything else which comes to mind?
And sir,
The lack,
socialization.
Okay, so Parul is saying socialization.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
lack of
family
social
background.
capital, sir.
lack of social capital. You're right. Yes, Parul, you are adding something to that?
Yeah, family background is a big effect.
Oh, yes, you're very right. The family background, because the whole mindset, the thinking itself, possibly general problem. Good, very, very good points. I think I had also put down a couple of points here. So let's see what comes here. Exactly, you also said lack of infrastructure or maybe even internet access. See, today, at least more of the urban areas where we can get a lot of knowledge and information. And today, unfortunately, we are relying a lot on knowledge or information from internet. And if you don't have that basic access, that is there. Another important thing is schools. Basically, is teachers often are untrained in innovation pedagogy. Now, when teachers themselves do not think innovation, how can they promote students, right, to think innovatively, right? Somebody talk about awareness or knowledge or social things, right? So low awareness of careers in innovation or startups. And typically, if we say in India, large part of our education, even higher education, even in management, we are basically teaching students to become good workers, to take up jobs. The whole focus on management institute, post graduation institutes is placements. How can you get a good job, right? Not on innovation or entrepreneurship. One more very important thing, which is related to something which you all talked about the mindset, fear of failure or criticism, right? Now, if you see, apply that in our culture from the very beginning, we have been taught that failure is what we have brought up with. And even today, I mean, will you be willing, anybody who's a parent here, would you be willing to accept failure of your kid? So, what we have been taught is that failure is negative. Now, tell me one thing, when are the chances of somebody failing the most high? When are you most likely to fail?
When you are attempting something,
Correct, Yogita. When you're trying out something new, because when you're trying out something new, you have definitely a chance of success, but you have an equal chance of failure. Now, if you are afraid of failure, Will you even try to do anything new? No. And that is where our innovation, our creativity gets curbed. So the whole thing is this whole fear of failure. Now, if you start looking at failure in a positive way, that it is okay to fail because you have tried out something new and there is a 50-50 chance of success and failure. If you fail, no problem. You will learn that that was not the way how you do it. So, next time you will try some other ways. But we have to start building that whole mindset that failure is positive, and that's why then don't criticize failure. And again, somebody very rightly talked about limited access to role models or mentors. Because even if somebody wants to do something, you need guidance. So, who's going to guide you? So, these are generally the barriers that schools and community are facing. Fortunately, there are at least some institutions and some examples we have who are now trying to go over and above this and trying to do much better, right? Now, with all of these barriers, the one key insight which you get is that you don't need to fix the whole system because that is huge. But what we can do is at least start with maybe one school, one workshop, one idea. And let us look at some examples on how this is being done and how it is possible to do. So, one example is the Nirman Club of IIT Madras. Now, this is the first of its kind it's a dedicated pre-incubator on a college campus and is the first one in the country. Nirman is committed to advancing innovation and entrepreneurship by providing comprehensive technical guidance and business mentorship to students. Their support focuses on enhancing the robustness of their business ideas and ensuring their economic feasibility. Through mentorship and strategic insights, this club helps students turn their ideas into successful ventures. So the Nirmal Club at IIT Madras, they run innovation programs in government schools. Students volunteer to conduct sessions on various subjects like robotics, design thinking, problem solving, etc. Another example is Project Embryo of BITS Pilani. So, BITS Embryo is an institute body that aims to improve students' learning experience and exposure to various domains. Through lecture series and collaborative projects, the students can get exposure to the cutting edge research areas. They also get an opportunity to network with alumni and friends of BITS, reputed academicians, and industry leaders. So, BITS Pilani organizes weekend workshops in nearby schools. They focus on practical science, entrepreneurship challenges, and storytelling with purpose. Another example is the Gujarat based NGO InnoKids. This NGO has been started by college students, and this NGO trains rural students on innovation thinking using simple objects, paper, plastic bottles, etc. So, through these examples, one insight which we can get is you don't have to be a full time entrepreneur in order to become a change agent. You just have to show up and share what you know. Okay. So I'll just take a quick pause here in case somebody has any questions to ask at this stage before we move forward. Okay. So if no questions, now that we understood the importance of this outreach program to schools and the community, and as we say, catching them young, let's look at how to design an effective outreach program. So we will look at a 5-step framework for designing an outreach program. First step is define the purpose and the audience. So clearly define what problem are you solving? Who is your target group? For example, your target group could be government school students aged 10 to 14, or it could be the rural community youth or first generation learners. Focus on age appropriate content and language simplicity. For example, a group of MBA students from Pune organized a program called Idea Jatra for 8th and 9th graders in ZP schools, where they introduced storytelling based design thinking. So, this is our first step. Then, step 2, identify the core theme or focus. Choose one or two themes that are easy to relate to, problem solving focused. They are linked to local content, and some popular themes could include maybe your everyday problem solving, eco-friendly innovations, low cost prototypes, storytelling for entrepreneurs, or be your own boss and what it means. Again, as an example, uh, can anybody recognize or guess what this is? Any guesses? क्या हो सकता है ये? No guesses? Use your creativity. What could it be? What does it look like? Yes, anyone? Any wild guess? We just saw. There is nothing wrong in feeling. Okay, something is coming in chat. Let me see. Golf ball machine. Shruti.
Cardboard pieces, sir.
It is cardboard kai, lekin what is it?
It is
Uh,
looking like a letter M, sir.
Okay, looking like a letter M. No, uh, so it is more like a game. Let me give you a clue. Shruti is pretty close to guessing. So she says in chat, golf ball machine. So something similar, but at a lower scale. No one still guessing? Okay, so Shruti says her kids using Amazon. And golf ball machine means what do they do, Shruti?
Maybe a tunnel also, sir.
Okay, tunnel for what, Manshu? Good, you are getting there. Anyone else? I hope Shruti is typing.
It is looking like, sir, for water harvesting.
Oh, um, okay. So you are getting nice and creative. Okay, I was just waiting if Shruti is typing something. Okay, they play and named it golf machine from YouTube. Okay, so uh, it is something similar to the golf machine. This is a marble run challenge. But I'm sure many of you would have played that you put the marble on one side, right? So this is basically using cardboard to make it into a race track. And you put your marbles to see कि किसका marble पहले नीचे तक आता है. Have you played or no? I'm sure you would have played. So this is an example, using cardboard to make a marble racetrack, and this becomes a fun way to introduce the law of conservation of energy and energy transformations, right? So in this, if you see two three students, they'll put their marbles, and they try to predict whose marble will go further, yeah, whose marble will actually come to the end. So that is where it is. So this is one example. Or maybe any other product you can create. For example, a product to help your parents save water at home, right? So this could be, yes, the marble game, correct. So these are certain examples which could be uh, done or used. Yeah. Yes, Shruti. Correct. I guessed that they call it golf because maybe if they've taken from YouTube, then it could be somewhere from the West where instead of marbles, I don't know how much people in the West play with marbles. So maybe they use golf balls instead of marbles, and we use marbles for it. So, right. Okay. So, this is just an example of that. So, that was our step 2. Now, if we move to our step 3, where whenever we are doing this session, we need to plan it. So plan the session format where break this whole outreach program into short and high energy segments. This is one example of a structure where you start with an icebreaker for say 10 minutes, and you could have some simple games such as who is the problem solver, or whatever games, just more for ice breaking. Then get into the main workshop, which could be a 30 minutes session which you do with the students, which could be a hands-on innovation challenge, or maybe a case study or a case story where you give them a case which they need to solve, and then have 10 minutes on reflection. Okay, so what did they learn from it? And finally, also at the very beginning, have some take home things, so some recognition, stickers, badges, maybe have a team photo or something, but you have to plan this as a format. The key tip here is keep the session interactive, keep it physical and playful, especially for the younger students who are there. Step 4 in our 5-step journey is prepare tools and materials beforehand, and keep it low cost and do it yourself sort of things. Have sample kits, like, and keep something already in those kits like paper, cups, tape, glue, straws, old bottles, all of which can be used for creativity. Use storytelling. So share success stories of entrepreneurs from similar backgrounds. Like I gave you the example of Larry Page, the Google co-founder. Use visual aids, charts, flashcards, flipboards. For example, this is using an innovation canvas for kids, which is nothing but a simplified version of a business model canvas, which asks, what is your idea? Who will use your idea? How will your idea help? Etc. Then we come to step 5, which is execute the session and then reflect. For this, a couple of good ideas is to collaborate with a school, with an NGO, or a community center. And we'll also touch these topics later. Run a pilot session with, say, 15 or 20 students. After the session, collect feedback from the kids, from the teachers, and the team. Ask what worked, what can be improved, and then use that feedback to improve in your next outreach program. Again, one professional tip here is whenever you do such sessions, document everything, photos, any quotes from the feedback, any learnings, because all of these will help when you are seeking future support for future workshops or even for funding. Let us look at some examples. So you have Project Kalpana in Delhi, where MBA students introduced slum kids to simple business ideas using lemonade stalls and storytelling about local entrepreneurs. We then have the Rural Makers Club from Gujarat, who held do it yourself innovation days with 100% recycled material, focusing on everyday problems. Another example is a e-cell outreach by a private university where students visited schools in the nearby tribal belt and conducted a game based session on what is a startup, which was followed by a role play. So these are some quick example. Let me also make it very real for you and show you a sample innovation activity plan. Now let's call this activity as a water warriors challenge to become a school innovator. So if you're running this workshop or program, you could start by an introduction where you could begin with, say, a story like this is Chintu, a class 8 student from Solapur. Every day he sees water being wasted from the school tap. One day he decides to fix it using a plastic bottle and some rope. And then you could ask students, have you ever seen water being wasted at home or school? What can we do about it? Then we put up the challenge. We say, now you are the innovator. In teams of 3 or 4, you will design a tool, a campaign, or an invention to help your home or school save water. And use the materials in front of you. You have 25 minutes. Think smart, be creative. Let students brainstorm, sketch, and create simple prototypes. Encourage labeling of their design, a small name for the solution, say water watcher, leak lock, or something like that. And you'll be surprised on how creative they can get with names also. And mentors, that is, people from your own group, walk around encouraging ideas and answering questions. And then get each group to present their idea. So give them 1 minute to share the problem they observed, their solution, how the solution works. And then following the presentation, use either claps or simple stars or stickers for appreciating their presentation. And finally, reflect. Ask them, what did you learn today? What will you look at differently when you go home? Take a group photo, hand out a small recognition, maybe as something simple as a handmade young innovator badge or a sticker, and share your contact or social handles for staying in touch. Beyond this, you could also have some more ideas. For example, once you've done this session, you could actually conduct a follow up session, maybe say after a month, to check what ideas did the kids implement and invite them to maybe a mini innovation fair on campus. So this is something which a real life thing on what you could do. Again, I'll take a pause and just open it up for any thoughts from anybody who has done something similar or has seen something similar being done, or anything you want to add. Anyone? Any thoughts? Okay. No one, no thoughts, no sharings as yet. Okay, fine. So then let's move forward on the next topic related to this. See, to make innovation and entrepreneurship outreach programs sustainable, scalable, and impactful, partnerships are key. So let us look at how we can identify, build, and manage collaborations with schools, community stakeholders, NGOs, corporates, and other local government bodies. First, let us understand why collaborations are so important. Why do they matter? One, collaborations provide us with resources, the legitimacy, reach, and continuity. Collaborations bring in complementary skills. For example, NGOs, they know the community. Students can bring in ideas and energy. Collaborations also matter because they help the scale impact beyond just one-off events. So then we saw it could be continuity. As an example, this is a real world example that an MBA college in Kerala tied up with an NGO working on rural sanitation to run innovation boot camps for high school students on designing toilets for all. The NGO arranged access to villages and the students designed low cost prototypes. Now let's look at what are the different types of partners we can collaborate with and how to engage them. Broadly, there are 5 key categories of outreach partners and how we can involve them. The first partner type are schools and teachers. Now, what role can school and teachers play in collaboration? They can provide the venue, access to students. So, if you want to run an outreach program, they can help you do this. Now, how do you engage with schools and teachers? You could go and meet the principal, explain your idea in very simple language, and also offer them a sample plan. The other partner type are NGOs and community leaders. Their role is they can help with logistics and with the local trust. How do you engage these partners? You can partner with them for outreach. You could co host sessions with them, or you could do co branding using their entity, their name. The third partner type are local government bodies. The role which they can play is providing approvals for your sessions, venue access, and visibility. How do you engage them? Submit a brief proposal letter and involve them during the school level events. We then have corporates and CSR wings. The role they play are funding, mentoring, and giving you exposure. How do we engage with them? Align your activity with their focus. So, because every corporate doing CSR generally have their own focus area, something which they are passionate about. It could be youth. So, do something around youth. It could be education. do something around education, and they will be more than happy to connect with you. And then the fifth are alumni and experts. The role they could play is mentorship or storytelling. And the way to engage with them is invite them for guest talks or maybe as a judge in some school innovation fair. Now, one tip to remember in mind is start small. You could maybe approach a nearby school and do one session to start with. You could invite some local change maker to join you as a co-facilitator. And as we saw earlier, document this whole session, document the success, and using that, you can then approach more partners with more evidence that you have actually done something. Okay. Again, I'll take a quick pause here in case somebody has any further ideas or thoughts on collaboration, engaging with partners. Okay, fine. So let's move forward. See, while running a one time outreach session could be impactful, the true transformation happens when engagement continues over time. So now let us look at certain strategies to ensure that the innovation spark ignited in the school or community sessions doesn't just fade out, but instead grows stronger. Why continuity matters? Students retain and apply skills better when given repeated exposures. Schools and communities trust more when they see commitment beyond just one visit. Follow up allows participants to iterate and to improve their ideas. So keep doing different versions, keep improving it. Sustained programs open doors for larger collaborations and funding. One quick example to demonstrate this is an MBA student, an MBA student team from Delhi. They started with one innovation workshop at a government school. Now, based on the feedback, they returned monthly, and every month they did a session with new themes. For example, one month they did something on sanitation, second month, something on energy, third month, something on entrepreneurship. And by doing this, eventually they ended up involving 10 schools. And they also secured CSR support and CSR funding for these activities. So you have to start small. Let us now look at some strategies to sustain this outreach engagement. So, not keep it as a one off, but perpetuity, continuity. The first strategy is try to have monthly or quarterly sessions. And in those, rotate the themes. As I told you, it could be on innovation. Next could be on leadership. Then on local problem solving, and so on. Invite guest speakers or alumni entrepreneurs for some of these sessions. Next strategy is maybe have innovation clubs in schools. So encourage the school to set up a young innovators club. Your team can mentor students either by physically going there or even remaining in touch through WhatsApp or give them sample or simple activity kits to do so that you are engaged with them. Third strategy is competitions and exhibitions. So maybe you could think of hosting an annual innovation fair across schools. So you can get participation of many schools. Let students present their ideas, models, or campaigns on local issues in these fairs. Digital follow up. Create a Telegram or a WhatsApp group for school teachers and volunteers. Share monthly challenge of the month activity for students to attempt at home. And you can all do that sitting from wherever you are through digital. And the next and the last strategy is peer learning. Train older students in the school to mentor their juniors. Create innovation champions or student mentor batches and then give them these batches so that they also feel recognized and importance. Another important parameter in ensuring sustenance of this is tracking. So what should we track over this period of time? One, the number of sessions conducted, number of schools or the students that you have engaged, the types of problems students try to solve, and as I told you earlier, have photo and video documentation of all of this. Also capture, uh, gather and retain reflections from students and teachers. There are different tools and resources which you can use to support this continuity. One, the set is activity toolkits. So a set of ready to use worksheet or challenge cards. Have a mentor bank. So create a pool of volunteers who can rotate support. Documentation templates you can build for tracking sessions, tracking feedback and the outcomes, and have a collaboration calendar. So plan a year-long roadmap with schools and NGOs. Giving another real life example, in a tribal school in Madhya Pradesh, students designed such seed dispensers from scrap. They won a local contest and their idea was shared on the school Facebook page. With this, a nearby school was inspired and replicated the activity. And that is, as we see, the ripple effect. So somebody doing it and then it catches on to the others. Okay. Fine. I'll take a pause here. And anybody, any thoughts? Because we've seen most of the content which I wanted to share. I'll just be taking a few minutes more to share some real life examples on innovation and entrepreneurship. But before I share the examples, anyone, any thoughts on what we've seen so far, or any questions which you have at this stage? Okay, so nothing so far. Then let's look at some real life examples and then we'll open up for the Q&A session. So these are some real life examples of outreach programs around innovation and entrepreneurship. The first example is the Young Change Makers program at IM Ranchi. This is a notable initiative designed to cultivate socially conscious leaders among high school students. The Young Changemakers program is a transformative program aimed at students from grades 9 to 12, focusing on immersing themselves in real world challenges faced by underprivileged communities. Through direct engagement, participants develop empathy, leadership skills, and innovative problem solving abilities. Some key features of this program include: one, a rural immersion boot camp, which is a 5-day residential segment where students interact closely with rural communities to understand and address local issues. Hands on experience. Participants collaborate with villagers to co create practical and sustainable solutions, fostering a deep understanding of societal challenges. Skill development. The program emphasizes leadership, cultural awareness, and community engagement, equipping students with tools to drive social change. Global outreach. This program expanded its reach internationally, inviting high school students from around the world to participate, fostering a diverse community of young leaders. And the impact through initiatives like the Young Changemakers program, IIM Ranchi demonstrates a commitment to social impact, aligning with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, such as health and well being, decent work, and economic growth. The program has successfully bridged the gaps between communities and change makers, fostering a culture of innovation and social responsibility. Another example is ZOR, that is battery sharing for rural India. The founders of this program are two MBA students from Harvard, Riya Savla and Vishesh Mehta. ZOR addresses energy challenges in rural India by providing modular pay per use batteries powered by grid or solar energy. This solution reduces farmers' reliance on costly diesel, lowering their operational costs and also the carbon footprint. The founders conducted extensive field research, visiting 25 villages and interviewing over 700 farmers to tailor their solution to the local needs. And definitely, this program has created an impact. Pilot programs in Odisha and Jharkhand have shown positive adoption, with plans to expand and empower local entrepreneurs, including women, in the distribution network. This example is from the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, which is a deemed to be university, and around their innovation and entrepreneurship outreach. This university organized an interactive mentoring session at the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences Secondary School or Higher Secondary School to promote innovation and entrepreneurship among the higher secondary students. The activities included speeches on entrepreneurship, discussions on innovation in daily life, and demonstration of innovative models by university students. To inspire students to become future leaders is their objectives, and by introducing them to entrepreneurial concepts and encouraging innovative thinking. Then we have the Pillai Institute of Management Studies and Research in New Panvel. This, in collaboration with other colleges, in their campus conducted an innovation and entrepreneurship outreach program for students of the Mahatma School of Academics and Sports. Under this program, students toured the campus exploring the infrastructure like the maker labs and robotics labs and attended presentations on startups and mentorship opportunities. Approximately 353 students participated, gaining insights into entrepreneurial careers and innovation. And the final example is from the Government College of Engineering and Technology, Jammu. This college organized an innovation and entrepreneurship outreach program at the Government Model Higher Secondary School in Jammu. The activities included presentations on innovation and entrepreneurship, interactive sessions, and hands on activities to encourage idea generation among the students. The objective was to bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical application, fostering a mindset of creativity and forward thinking. So, these real life examples and case studies demonstrate diverse approaches to fostering innovation and entrepreneurship in educational settings. So this is all the content which I had to share before I hand it back to the organizers for Q&A session. Just a last statement which was made by Seth Godin, who says, no organization ever created an innovation. People innovate, not companies. And so it is important for us to outreach and have outreach programs to these people. And as we saw earlier, the earlier you catch them at an early age, the more likely for them to build an innovative mindset and have entrepreneurial thinking. So this was all what I had to share. I'll now hand it back for any Q&As. Free to ask questions. If any of you uh, have some afterthoughts on any questions which come to mind later and you want to connect with me, um, you can connect with me over LinkedIn. I'll also share this um, LinkedIn address in the chat. But now I'll stop sharing my screen and hand it back for taking up questions, if any, if anybody has any questions to ask. Yes, anybody, any questions? Or if no questions, anything else you want to add or give your thoughts, feedback, comments, anything?
Yes, any questions, please?
Yeah, I can see some feedback on chat coming in, but anybody wants to just unmute and share anything? Or any feedback is also good. Okay, so I can see a question in chat. Is it okay? Should I read it out? So I think Dr. Shilpi is asking, can our college collaborate with nearby government schools to provide skill-based support to class 11 and 12 students, such as training in basic computer skills, coding languages like Java or other digitally literacy programs? Definitely. So I'm not sure, Dr. Shilpi, if that's a question to me or maybe others. Uh, I suppose if there are faculty from your institute itself. But definitely, we should be looking at doing such programs. And I think it's very good when you're talking about technology and IT. That is something which students are looking forward, and it will directly impact them in their careers. So that definitely will be a good help. So we should definitely do that. My only watch out here is first check with the government schools on what programs they are already doing. It should not be a conflict with what they are doing, but more of a collaborative effort. So if you can build upon what they are doing, see, the challenge with these government schools is they do not have access to the right resources, the specialists in this, which possibly we have. So we can support the government schools for such activities.
Thank you for that response, which was shown onto the chat window. I hope the person who had written the question, Dr. Shilpi, have you got the answer from sir? Yes, Dr. Shilpi?
I think possibly she's not able to unmute.
Yes,
Okay. So
yes.
she's put another thing after searching what they are doing, or if they don't, then we can also provide the facility in our college. Oh, yes, definitely. That can be done. So as I told you, follow those steps for developing the program. So what really is the problem you're trying to solve with these students? That should be very clear. And then you will be able to develop the right program and it will have more value. Good. So thanks for that. Yeah.
Yes.
No problem, Dr. Shilpi.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you, sir, for the response, and also thank you for the thoughts which you have given on to organizing innovation and entrepreneurship outreach program in schools as well as communities. We had a wonderful time here listening to you with various examples, that too, the examples which are happening right now in the ground reality. So thank you for that. With this, I also thank Dr. Yogita Gupta for initiating the session, and Ms. Pallavi Dalvi, who is the backbone for conducting all these sessions, not only this, but even the earlier ones. Without her efforts, the session wouldn't have taken place with such a great success. So thank you, sir. And we wish to trouble you also in the coming future with another sessions also.
Yeah.
So thank you. And yes, on behalf of Symbiosis Center for Distance Learning, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I'll end the session now?
Yeah, I think we can end the session. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.